says the joy of the Lord is your strength. It's a Happy Day is a weekly devotional designed to inspire believers to find and walk in the joy of the Lord despite life's challenges. Get ready to explore relevant themes that challenge the mundane and the status quo of Christian life. Each devotional will include a time of storytelling, scripture explanation, and obedience points. So join me and others from around the world every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for it is a happy day. Well, it's a happy day, family. I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of It's a Happy Day. If you are joining me again, you know the drill. Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Hit like, share if these are speaking to your insides. Listen, I appreciate the opportunity to be able to come into your life and to share moments and testimonies every Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the early evening. We've been talking, this is the 5th episode entitled Go For It. Do you ever feel like you're just hanging with a group of folks that are either lying about their achievements or they're just stuck at their last peak? Or you just feel like your life is changing. Not that people are bad or that they're holding you down. You're not a victim, you are a victor, right? But you just want to make some changes. You want to do some things differently. And have you ever felt that, that disappointment when you try to share a dream or something with someone and they don't really, they're not as excited about it, or nor do they totally encourage you? It's almost like they cause you to focus on what may go wrong. But I want to encourage you to go for it. That's what that's about. It's about making that life change, making that decision that if I make this one decision, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happier. I'm going to be more fulfilled. And I know people say it's not about being happy, but let me tell you one thing. Life is a whole lot better when you do feel happy. And so I want to give you some tips in this 5th episode that will help you, as you beginning to make this decision on that you're going to go for, whether it's an entrepreneurial goal or a personal, relational. I don't know what that is, but I want to give you some tips. Now, one of the things that they say is very rare and a skill that's difficult to acquire is simply being able to navigate during a time when you're launching out into the deep, you're taking that proverbial jump, as Steve Harvey says, right? Can you navigate or how do you navigate when things go wrong? When things go wrong, life is flimsy. Nothing is guaranteed. And most people stay in a stuck position because they're afraid of the times when things don't go their way. Nothing is going to ever go your way. But they say the difference between the boys and the girls and the men and the women and those who succeed at a very high level are those who plan, who anticipate for things not going their way. How do you respond even now in your own space where you are? How do you respond when things don't go your way? Do you quit? Do you ease off the gas? Do you automatically hit the brakes? And you don't necessarily turn around, but you don't go anywhere. Do you stop how do you respond when things don't go your way? People don't respond to you. They don't call you back. They don't text you back. They don't encourage you. How do you respond right now will impact your ability to achieve your ultimate goal. And so one of the things they say that will help develop, this skill and this to acquire this thing is, learn to admit when you're wrong. They say that if you're going to go for it, every article I've ever read, any book that I'm reading, and I'm reading a ton of books, right? But one of the things they say is that people who fail never develop the ability to admit when they are wrong. Can you admit when you're wrong? Can you take responsibility for a situation? Some people, they like to punt. It's always someone else's fault, and they never take responsibility for their portion of it. You've got to learn to admit, I made a mistake. I made a bad calculation. That was a bad part of my plan. But just because you make a mistake, that doesn't make you a mistake. That doesn't make the vision a mistake. It simply means it is a punctular, what they call event. It happened, and It happened in time. It's not something that is continuous. And so a lot of times we treat one event and we don't want to admit that we were wrong and we try to fix it. Which takes me to the second tip. They say that when you don't develop the ability to admit when you're wrong, what happens is you begin to move in what we call false hope. You're hoping and wishing and praying that somehow what is staring you right in the face, that is glaringly telling you this is not going to work, it's going in the wrong direction, that you somehow deep down you begin to believe that out of all of the statistics and everything that's looking you in the face, that something miraculous, supernatural is going to happen, and this thing's going to turn around. And so that is a trap. That is a trap. And what happens is when you begin to move in false hope, guess what walks through the door? Regret. Because now you start thinking, what if I pull out now? What if I make an adjustment now? What happens if when this false hope, when this thing actually turns around for my favor and I have now abandoned my position? And so what happens is false hope opens the door for regret. They work together to continue to defeat you. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And so where in your life right now are you operating in false hope? The numbers, everything is showing you. And I'm not talking about like not believing God and not having faith. I'm having two different conversations. You can have faith and still be smart. You can have faith and still read the numbers. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Now listen, you can have a stock and that stock reaches $100 a share. And if that stock stops dropping and it's not $30 a share, you can pray all you want. But you need to make a decision. You should have made a decision when it was at $80 or $70. You understand what I'm saying? And so a lot of times we have false hope that brings us into what we call rejection, and you hold on too long. They say the danger in not being able to admit when you're wrong. You have false hope, which means you stop reading the data, you stop looking at the science of the situation, and you're no longer thinking intellectually, but now it's totally emotionally, and now you're attached. And guess what happens? You begin to tie yourself to a sinking ship. Most people, when they decided to go for it and they didn't tell themselves the truth, they didn't admit it, they tied themselves to a sinking ship. Some people are so committed to staying committed to something that's not committed to them. This is not going the way it's supposed to go. You gotta make a decision. So again, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this. The other thing I want to share with you is this. Learn to take small losses to protect your gains. Small losses, right? Anticipate, you know what, I think I'm gonna lose over there. Take small losses to protect your gains. And then the last thing I want to share is this. Don't focus on what was lost, but make a move to protect what's left. See, what most people do is they'll go for it. They'll make an investment, and they'll all of a sudden they'll lose, and they'll sit there and they'll whine and they'll cry and they whimper around over what was lost and what was flushed down the drain, and then they start playing the woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. I knew I shouldn't have listened and Holland tell me to go for it. I would have had my 200. I would have had. You understand what I'm saying? But what you got to do is focus on what's left and make a move to reposition what's left so that you might continue to go forward and go upward. Listen, I'm telling you right now, there's no one on the planet who didn't decide to go for it who's successful. Successful people make decisions. I'm going for it. I'm going to break out of here. Get up off of me. I'm going to be different. I'm going to do something that defies everyone's thought or perception of who I am. So I want you to think about that today. And I want to end with this story. I took, I was in high school. I was broke, didn't have no money. My mother gave me some money. I think it was like $50. And I wanted to take this girl to the fair, the circus or fair, whatever it was. And you know what I'm saying, back in them days, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to be a shot caller, baller, you know what I mean? And I got my girlfriend, and we at the fair. And I see these girls walking around with these big old teddy bears. I mean, these big life-size teddy bears. And so, I look over there, and then my girlfriend, she said, I like to have one of them. Oh, I got you, you know what I'm saying? And it's a basketball deal. So you gotta like sink the basket. Shoot, you gotta sink that bad boy. You gotta sink a couple of them in order to get the big bear. So I'm like, well, how much is it? It's $5. Oh, I got 50. I'm gonna drop this 5, get the big life size bear, and she gonna be walking around the fair with one on her arm, and we moving on. So guess what happened? I dropped 5. And so I go shoot, and I notice that the rim is real hard. So when the ball hit it, boom, it bounced off. And I noticed that the backboard got some extra spring. So you gotta like actually have a swish. That ball got to go in and go swish. So guess what I do? I sacrificed the 5. But I really want to impress this girl. So I put another 5. Now I'm down 10. You understand? Before I know it, are you hearing this? Before I know it, I have literally spent $40 of the 50 and didn't win a teddy bear. I walked away broke. I couldn't even afford food later. You understand? Because I couldn't admit to myself that I was not a basketball star. I was never good at basketball. I couldn't admit, I couldn't protect what was left. You understand? I didn't take small losses. So that's my personal story. One funny story that I remember that day when I sacrificed all my money to impress this girl, lost my money. Now I'm walking around the fair, can't even get a corn dog, can't even get cotton candy. So you don't want to be the boy that went to the fair that spent all his money on a bunch of nothing. So listen, I want to encourage you on this episode 5. Go for it. And I'll see you on Friday. God bless you.